All right, we're live again, Eddie, on Facebook. Game Changers with Vicki Abelson. My guest tonight is Eddie Pepitone. We tried this a moment ago, but I forgot to make us public, and so it was just the two of us. We can't have it be just the two of us, Eddie.
Yes.
That wouldn't be
Welcome, everybody. Welcome the public.
Welcome.
Let me just say this about the public. Look, you voted in Trump 4 years ago, you idiots. But hopefully you're making up for it lately. Hello, public.
Okay, Eddie, so we had a false start, and we'll get back to that, but what we started to just talk about was the vaccine. And
I have such vaccine jealousy because, well, you just told me you're vaccinated.
Eddie, today I am celebrating, I am total efficacy. It's been 2 weeks since my second vaccine.
You're good. Yes. Now, that is really good news, except not for me, you know? It's like, well, actually, that's not true, because the more people that are vaccinated, the less chance of infection is what I'm understanding.
Yes. I want to talk about this because you probably don't know this, but the people who watch this show, we are the COVID crazies. Okay.
Oh, really? COVID
yes.
crazies?
When the pandemic started, I started going live every single day, 7 days a week.
Me too. I did 5 days a week, except I was on Instagram Live. You've chosen Facebook Live.
Yeah. Is it happier for you on Instagram? I've never done an Instagram Live.
It's funny. I've never done the Facebook Live thing, but the Instagram Live thing is cool. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You can have a guest and it's live, and they record it for you, and you could keep it on the site. You know, so it lives.
Can you put it on your phone? Can you keep it?
Yeah, it's on their site. Right. It's not yours, you know. So, but
so when you want to have a guest,
anyway?
Do you have to? Well, when you have a guest on Instagram Live, you have to invite them on after you start. Is that how it works?
Yes, and they have to request to join. And what we were talking about off the air happens a lot, where it's like, I can't find the button, you know. And it's gotten to be a joke where I now have music for when people can't request to join. Like I have, you know, it's just technically not the greatest. Do you know what I mean?
Well, because I did the Facebook the same way yesterday with a request to join. It took us 25 minutes to get Cindy on the air. This is not a good thing.
Right. But 25 minutes, you lose a lot of people.
Well, but on the other hand, I can do it then on my phone. Zoom, you can't host to Facebook Live on your phone. And the phone is I have an iPhone 12 Pro, right? So it's better.
Oh, great. So you've been vaccinated and you have the iPhone 12 Pro. Yes. Well, good for you.
All of these things. I am enviable, aren't I? I'm so fucking. So you hit my gut twice. Yeah.
I know. I mean, the vaccine is one thing, but on top of that, to have the iPhone 12 Pro.
Oh my God, look at this. Okay, now this is so professional, I can't even believe it. Oh
folks, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what's going on. She asked me to do that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is like a cacophony.
I was talking to your audience while you were gone.
Please do. Feel free to talk to them anytime. We'll talk to them at some point. We'll take some questions and stuff. But what I wanted to know before we get into the whole Eddie Pepitone mystique and everything is, are you COVID crazy? What's your COVID protocol been like, Eddie?
Oh my God. I tell you, what a weird journey this has been. I remember when it first, I mean, I'm sure everybody went through this kind of thing. But when it first started, I was like, don't touch anything. Like, it was so crazy. Like if somebody delivered a package, I mean, do you remember at the beginning, there were these, I don't know if you got this, but there were these tapes going around that were shared about doctors saying, when you come in from the outside, take your clothes off, take a shower immediately. I mean, it was insane at the beginning, of course, because I'm naturally lazy. I never did that. Like, supposedly, you were supposed to, like, supposedly you're supposed to go out, come in, and strip and shower, and then put on new clothes, and then everything. Then you're supposed to wipe down all your groceries,
Hey, I
like
did
all
that
that.
this morning.
You did that this morning, and you've had the second shot. Well, you are COVID crazy.
I have total efficacy. Today's my efficacy birthday, and I got a Vitamix from UPS at midnight, and I sprayed it with the green stuff. I wiped it
Well, that's
down.
probably good to do. Yeah.
And I came in from a speed walk, and I got right in the shower. Yeah. I mean, I still am COVID crazy. So, have you been shopping? Have you been in stores during COVID?
I try. Me and my wife
Yeah.
try to stay out of freaking stores, and we've been
Okay.
doing pretty good. The only thing we've been doing is going to a couple of doctor appointments.
Okay.
I
You,
get a boil lanced off every Thursday. No, I'm kidding. But you remember when boils were popular? What happened to boils? You remember when people had boils, like whenever there was like a Arthur Miller play, somebody always had a boil. Well, what
Lance, and they had to have it
they
Lance.
had to have it lanced off. What? Where did that go? That's what's wrong with this country, is that people aren't getting boils lanced off anymore. You know
So,
what I mean?
do you know the secret to going to the doctor in COVID? I'm going to give you the secrets. Here's
Go
the
ahead.
here's the COVID crazy secrets. Seriously,
Yeah, go ahead.
you get the first appointment on a Monday, so that
Okay.
nobody's breathed in there or been in there before you get there. You fill out all the paperwork in advance at home. You email it in.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't touch anything. You don't go to the bathroom at the doctor's office, because that's not a good.
Oh, yeah. I'm very paranoid about that too. But okay, so I described to you the beginning where super, very, very cautious. And then I think it went in waves. It was like, and then we realized, okay, we don't have to scrub down everything that comes from the outside, and we can touch, we just have to. And I think the biggest thing is just washing hands,
Yes.
washing hands a lot. I try not to touch my face. I always wore a mask.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You,
I
where did you wear a mask before?
No, I always wore a
Oh, you
mask
mean in
once this
COVID?
started. I haven't been living in Beijing, where they wear masks, they wear masks. Do you know that they get warnings about on their phone when they can go out or not in industrialized areas of China?
Wait,
Like
based on what?
based on particulates in the air.
Wow.
Yeah, based on I'm bad with science, so, but it's like pollution that they shouldn't go out when it gets to a certain level. And so they're constantly wearing masks.
So wait, so what were you guys doing for grocery? Were you doing the
Right.
Instacart thing? How were you doing it?
I was doing Instacart until I found out, though. Are we allowed to curse on this?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. I was doing Instacart until I found out those motherfuckers fired all these employees who were trying to unionize. And then I was
What?
like, delete. I deleted the app. So I mean, it's hard. It's, they they were trying to unionize, and they fired everybody who was involved in them trying to unionize. Anyway, boy, if you want to get me started politically, you better forget it.
I did
So
not know that. I didn't know. I'm going to have to stop using it. So how did you work around it? How'd you get your groceries?
Well, and I'm not even sure what's going on, as far as the people who deliver this stuff. But we order from Whole Foods, and do you know who the drivers are for that car? No. So it's not Instacart though. So hopefully it's a better
It's Amazon.
deal.
Amazon does.
Right.
Whole Foods.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. It's Amazon. Well, yes. And I don't know, hopefully they're better. But actually, Amazon is having this whole unionization thing that apparently Biden has gotten behind. I don't know if you look, Jeff Bezos has had a tough time during this pandemic. Bezos has gone from being a billionaire to close to a trillionaire. Do you know that? Yeah. Do you talk about politics much on this?
Of course we. Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. It's disgusting, the inequality of wealth, and the fact that 510,000 people have died in this country is just like, are you serious?
Do you know
Are you
about
serious?
Do you know that tomorrow, March 4th, is supposed to be the inauguration of the idiot? Do you know about this?
No.
In Washington, D.C., the QAnon have all the hotel rooms. The FBI have the rest. And they are supposedly going to inaugurate the idiot the true president back into office tomorrow in Washington. Yes, I'm not making this up.
What does that even mean? Is that what you call him, the idiot? You just referred to him as the idiot? Yes?
Yeah, I will not say his name. I refuse.
Right, okay.
I don't say his
name. Yes, so is he going to be there physically, or is it just some...
This is a good question. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if he's going to be there, but I'm telling you, this is a for real thing. I mean, well, for real. I watch CNN. CNN is telling me all day and all night that tomorrow this is going to happen.
By the way, I was just thinking back to the Boyles. There should be a Boyle channel. Like, how there's a true crime channel? There should be a channel devoted to Boyles. On, like, hi, we're a couple here in New Hampshire, and we got Boyles all over.
When was the last time you saw a boil? I can't even.
I don't know. Boyle, and the other thing nobody ever has anymore is a goiter. You remember goiters? I don't even know what a goiter is.
I don't know what a goiter is either, and I don't know where it is, but it sounds really disgusting. Is it goiter in your groin? I don't know why it sounds.
I think it can be anywhere. A goiter, and I think you have to get them licensed at the motor vehicle. And, like when you're walking backwards, you have a beep, beep, beep sound. I don't know. But yeah, so getting back to the pandemic, I've gone in waves, I am fatigued with like putting on the fucking mask and fit, it's got to be firm fitting, and then they were saying cloth, like surgical over cloth, which is what I do if I have to go to a doctor, or if I have a real craving for grapes. I'm a big frozen grapes guy.
Oh, my mother just discovered this. She was just telling me
they're delicious. But if they're not organic, they're soaked in pesticides, and they never have organic grapes lately. So I've kind of had to wean, my latest addiction. I've had to wean myself off frozen grapes.
So you will go to the market yourself. You'll go to the market
very
yourself,
rarely.
Go get
very rarely. I've done it a couple of times, and every time I've done it, I never had a good feeling about it. First of all, I'm in there for frozen grapes. Why am I risking my life for frozen grapes?
Oh God, my mother's gonna love this. So have you done outdoor dining? Have you done outdoor dining?
Once, me and my wife did outdoor dining in Pasadena, We did a vegan restaurant. We're vegan. Sage. I don't know if you know it.
I
Sage
do.
in Pasadena. We love Pasadena.
So do I.
Uh,
That's
I
so
like
funny.
it.
I was just listening to the last time you did my broadcast, and we were talking about therapists, and I told you that I have like the quintessential therapist. You were looking, and I said, she said, where? You said, where is she? I said, Pasadena. You said, oh no, I'm not going to get stressed going to therapy. I'm not going to Pasadena. That's
I know.
exactly.
I had a good therapist. Now, I'm in the valley. I'm like North Hollywood Valley Village area. And I left my last therapist because he's in Beverly Hills. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to have, but now with Zoom, it's pretty good, the therapy stuff, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Well,
is.
I actually, and I don't know if other people feel like this, but I actually feel a little scared about the pandemic ending and having to go back into getting in my car constantly. And I haven't done stand up in a year, in a club. And like, oh God, I used to be out every freaking night. I have gotten used to watching film noir movies every night now and not going out and eating, cookies and watching
Frozen grapes.
the postman always rings twice.
But all right, Eddie, we talked about this on the show last night that I've
Yeah,
become a little agoraphobic. When I get in the car
absolutely.
now, I get in the car and I'm a little anxious because I only drive
Yeah.
once a month or whatever. And I'm like, do I know how to do this? Do I
I
remember?
think, oh, so it's not just me. I think a lot of people have gotten used to not going out. And LA is so crowded, right? On the
Mhm.
on the highways anyway. It's so freaking crowded that I mean, I don't miss that part of this city at all, you know? Um
And you're
so
married, so it hasn't been like I live
mhm,
alone. My son hasn't
mhm.
been in my house. I
Oh
haven't
really?
seen my daughter in a year. Yeah, I see him outside. Because I'm COVID
Oh wow.
crazy, and he has roommates, and so we're not. He
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
have a bubble. So is who's
right.
in your bubble? Who's in your bubble besides your wife? Is there
Oh, we're
anybody in your
so
bubble?
careful. No, no, not really. It's just me and her. And the only other people that we see on a semi-regular basis is in the park. We live across the street from a really nice park here in North Hollywood, and we have two dogs. So we walk our dogs, and we see, of course, we've made friends over the years with certain people who have dogs, so we see them and they're not in our bubble. So just make sure we have masks. And there's always like one fucking person who doesn't have a mask. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And it's like, well, I'm outside. And like, I'm like, oh God, I would just kind of, always backing up,
Yeah, wear the
being a
mask.
people pleaser. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And even though every once in a while I would say, "Can you put on a fucking mask?"
So Eddie, have you had any close calls with COVID? Like they make fun of me that I think I've had COVID 11 times. Like, do you
I
every
think a
time you
lot of
sneeze, do you think you have COVID?
now that was very true when the pandemic started, and I'll tell you when I really thought I had it a couple of times was when I had real achy muscles. But I was working out too. I'm not a big workout guy, but I was doing push-ups and sit-ups in the park and stuff. And then I'd be like, oh, me and my wife are kind of diametrically opposite. I am the total, like, I think I have COVID. And she's like, please don't start that. You know what I mean? Like she's very like level-headed and I'm like, I'm dying, you
Well,
know?
is she less cautious? Like, is she more apt to go to the
No,
store?
no, she's cautious. She just
Oh,
doesn't get into the paranoia, you know.
she's not a Jewish girl, then I'm gonna assume.
No,
So
she's not a Jew.
there you go. So because that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
So
I'm Jewish and Italian. So forget it. I'm lost.
So so have you had friends that have been
Mhm.
befallen by it?
My stepbrother died.
What? Of COVID?
Uh, ex, when my dad was married, my former stepbrother, yeah, he died early on. He had diabetes though. He had
Oh,
that precondition. I'm
wow.
trying to think. That was the closest.
How old was he, Eddie?
Um, about, let's see, I think he was about 50, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And what is scary about it too, even though it seems like we're in the home stretch now. Well, you're fine now, with the iPhone 12 and the vaccination, but what's scary to me is that how it wasn't, they were saying that older people were more inclined to get it, but you would hear of all ages getting it. And particularly, I think one of the most public COVID stories, and he was not that old at all, was the actor. You know who I'm talking about? The guy who did
Tom Hanks.
what?
Tom.
No, I'm talking about a guy who died. No, Tom Hanks and Little Miss Hanks, the Hanks family, they were nothing is gonna kill Tom
No,
Hanks and his wife.
no. You're talking about the Broadway
Oh,
actor? Are you talking about the?
yes,
Yeah, and I saw
yes.
him in Bullets
And it
Over
was a
Broadway.
very public thing.
Yes, I'm spacing on his name. God damn it! That's
I
the
can't remember his name.
Nick Caderas. Nick
But it
Caderas.
was, I think so. And it
Yes.
was a horror, it was horrible. His wife was posting on Instagram all the time, and it was months.
Yes.
I also have a good friend in Atlanta who got COVID, and he's what you would call a long hauler,
Oh yeah.
meaning he's got a little bit of brain fog. He gets fatigued. I have another friend up in the Hudson Valley in Woodstock who got it. He got it flying back from LA right at the beginning of the pandemic. And he's young. He's young and fit, no preconditions. And he has had terrible lung stuff. He's getting better now. But,
Wow. That's so
so that
scary.
stuff is scary.
Okay, so tell me, so how much does the vaccine, how much do you think the vaccine, are you going to completely go back to life when you're vaccinated? What do you think?
No, you know, once I get my second shot, I mean, you tell me. I mean, what are you going to do? Because you're a COVID crazy. So what are you going to do
You know what
now that your
first
efficacy birthday?
my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to return my Ninja blender to Costco, and I'm not going to go into the store. I'm
Oh,
going to go
you're
to
not?
I'm going to go to the return line only by the front,
Okay.
and I'm going to go first thing in the morning. And then if I feel really brave, I might run through the store and grab a couple things.
Now let me, because I did do a Costco shop once during COVID, and I didn't feel too
You
safe.
did? How did it feel?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel too
No,
safe.
no,
I mean, we went at a
no.
good time. We went at a good time because I made sure, I think we went like kind of before close. So it wasn't like
Mm,
super crowded, but when you get in a supermarket, there's going to be people next to you at some point, you know,
I
you know.
can't. No.
Um, but so uh so you still wouldn't go in
So I
a
don't.
store with the second shot?
I'm wondering. I would love to go pick out my own vegetables for the. I have not been in one store in a year.
I
Not a.
would think you can do that now. You
I
know,
think
I
so.
mean, the efficacy rate that I'm reading about with the vaccine. What did you get? Moderna or Pfizer?
I got Moderna. To me, the scary thing is the variants and the mutations. That's what's freaking me out.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing to be freaked out about, I think. But
I
I
don't
think
know.
they're pretty, I mean, the case numbers are dropping,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, they
You
are.
know what's an interesting, scary thing is that I read today 100, maybe 135 or 150 countries
Yeah.
have not even started vaccinating people. Of course, they're much poorer countries.
Right.
And so I was asking someone, well, why does that affect us if we're vaccinated? And he said, well, the reason is that if they're not vaccinated, the virus will be mutating there. And
And
that
then you travel.
virus, if it's mutating anywhere in the world, right, it'll be a danger. So apparently, from what I understand, we are not out of this until the world is vaccinated.
Exactly. Which is horrifically scary and terrible. And New York has these crazy mutations right now. California has
Right.
mutations,
We
right?
have a mutation, right? We have a mutation right here in North Hollywood where it eggs your house. The variant eggs your house. It just eggs your house. And then another thing it does is sends you these anonymous letters saying you're a piece of shit. And it's like, honey, who the hell do you think wrote this? Like, it's snail mail. So, it's not, apparently the new variant doesn't have an email account, but it's like just snail mail. And it's very insulting. So the variant is attacking us psychologically now.
So, so speaking
That's
about
the new stand-up I'm working on, by the way, is like variant humor.
so so okay, for a stand-up comic who your whole gig is being in front of people, it's not something you can practice alone in your living room, although
No.
you can go live all the time. You do. And I've seen your clown is hysterical. I mean, I've seen your characters and you're hysterical, but it can't be the same thing because you're
No.
not getting
Oh,
the
it's not. It's not. And I actually, it's more like just talking in, you know what it's like. It's like doing this. It's like talking. I find it funny. It's not a real performance when you're on this. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, because when you're in front of a crowd, there's all kinds of exchanges of energy that's going on, and so that doesn't happen. But I recently have I contractually signed up to do. There's a thing called the Nowhere Comedy Club. Oh, I should plug this. If you go to Nowhere Comedy, I am playing March 24th, and they run it like a club. They have tiered seating.
What?
You can make some good money if you sell a lot of tickets. It's very much like a club. There's a VIP section, which means after the show, people who pay a certain amount, I'll chat with them, after the show, so they're running, and I'm going to do like a headliner set, like 50 minutes,
So
but the
how do you
sets are
do that
different.
without getting the laughter back? How does that work as a comic?
Well, I think you can hear the laughter. By the way, did you see the Freddie Prinze documentary? It was called I Can't Hear the Laughter Anymore. I didn't know. The Freddie Prinze who
Yeah, I
killed
love
himself?
Freddie Prinze. No, I didn't see the documentary.
Oh, you never did?
No,
He killed himself, right?
I do know. Yes.
And I there was a documentary called I Can't Hear the Laughter Anymore, and that's happened to me now because of Zoom. Yeah. It's so when you can't hear anybody, it's really weird. It's like performing in a vacuum. So I don't really uh consider it so much a performance. It's interesting though, because you can do certain things on Zoom that have tickled me, like it's just kind of funny to play, it's a new what do you call it? It's a new media, right? It's a new form to be funny, but it's certainly not traditional stand-up.
So are you gonna like hold for laughs? I mean, like, what do you do? You know,
No, there's not much holding for laughs. Unless you're hearing the audience, and if everybody is like laughing, you just play it like you would in a club.
I think I saw a video today of you on your street with a microphone doing stand-up and talking about your neighbors. Did you do that during COVID? You did.
No, I did not. I think, was that Patton?
No, you. I saw you. You were out on, I think you were out on the street and you were talking about somebody's going to give sex and somebody's giving free drugs.
Oh no, that was an outdoor show I did in Malibu, which was right next to the Getty Villa. And check it out. Yeah, someone approached me and it was one of the rare shows I agreed to do outdoors, because I think I was just like, it was like 6 months into the pandemic and I was just like getting antsy. And I was performing along with other comics in an alley between condominiums. And so I was just kind of relating to all the, like I was pretending people were in the buildings, and I was saying, things like, all these people are addicted to Oxycontin up here, like pointing to the, to the people's apartments, and I was pretending to be the people in the buildings. It was kind of fun, but you know what? I felt a little freaking like I was risking stuff, because when people drink, they get freaking sloppy, and people were drinking, and they come up to you when they're drinking. It's like, no,
and you had to take your mask off to do the stand-up.
Right. Which I didn't feel that scared about because it was outdoors. Mm-hmm. So, and I am going to do another show now, April 2nd and 3rd, outdoors at a comedy club. It's outdoors, Alameda Comedy Club in Northern California, and they're paying me pretty good money. It's like 4 shows in 2 nights, but I am a little nervous.
Are you driving or are you flying?
I'm driving. I don't want to fly. I don't want to fly yet until I get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Would you fly now?
No, and Biden said that everybody will be vaccinated by the end of May. He said that yesterday.
I heard that.
That's a pretty great thing. But I still don't feel like I want to get on an airplane. I'm still not feeling safe.
Oh, really? I thought you were so happy.
Safer.
You feel safer.
Well, yeah. I feel safer. I feel ready to outdoor dine. I feel like other people that are vaccinated, I feel like I can get together with. I'm still going to feel weird about inviting them into my house. I can't imagine doing a Women Who Write and having 50 people in my living room. That's not happening.
Yeah. When do you think then that I think clubs and restaurants, they're so itching to be open, so they probably will open, I think.
What do you think about what they're doing in Texas? The governor completely opened Texas.
Yeah, well, come on. That guy, that's Abbott, right? He needs Costello. That's the problem with that Governor Abbott. Where the freak is Costello? Like, he's a straight man, this governor. You need, a chubby, funny dude to be next to him. Yeah, he's an idiot. And I think, I'm really glad that he got exposed during that, when the power and the water was knocked out, and hopefully he'll get voted out now, being part of that, that whole system there, right wing, burning fossil fuels, and it's just, what this pandemic has done though, like, since you do talk politics on the show, it's really exposed America, and the world, but our country, supposedly the richest country, yet we don't have a healthcare system that can handle a pandemic.
We have millions of people on food lines in America. We have food lines, people waiting in line for food.
Yes.
People who are getting evicted from their homes. I mean, crazy shit.
While one man, Jeff Bezos, can earn, I forget what the figure is, but
He's the richest
he
man in the
earned,
world now, isn't he?
well,
Yeah.
I know he is, but he like earned $1 billion or $3 billion in one day. And then you have people on food banks, you have a healthcare system that really can't take care of people.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, I don't know. I mean, not
So
good.
were you in a position, Eddie, when we went into lockdown, like to financially be okay to weather this long haul?
For me, for me, for me, not really, because and what sucked is that I had so many festivals and gigs lined up right when this happened. Like I was going to be going out, like it happened at like March 10th or something like that, right? And
Right.
it's coming up on the year anniversary, huh? I think I remember it being March
It
12th. I
is.
wrote in my diary.
It's either
And
March
I had,
11th or March 12th that
mhm.
shut down. Yeah.
But luckily, as an actor, I qualified for unemployment, and then with the 600 that was initially added onto it, that took me through, and now it's been extended. Now there was a period of months where that 600 was gone.
In that period, I was making $167 a week when they took away this stimulus. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. And you know what you could do with $167 a
Yeah.
week in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not much.
Pretty crazy. So we talked about it being a little phobic about going back to life and driving and everything. How do you feel about, I'm sure you're going to be fine. You've been doing it so long, but are you a little phobic about getting in front of an audience again, where they're live and in front of you again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, but you know what? I'm always afraid to get in front of an audience until I'm in front of them.
Mhm.
And then once I'm in front of them, I relax into my thing. You know what I mean? It's like at first it's very scary, and then it's like, okay, I remember this now, And
Right.
I've talked about to other comics about that, and the general consensus is you don't lose it, but you need to work out. I was talking to Mark Maron yesterday, and Maron was saying, I'm gonna need to like do some working out at like a theater, and try to do and just work out, because it's hard, it's like really difficult to come up with stand-up material just being off stage forever, you know?
So Eddie, let's talk about the genesis of your comedy, because so much we were talking on the Fake Start show that one of my favorite sets of yours, and I don't know if you could even call it a set, was at the Actors Gang, when in the middle of the
Yeah,
show you just came out and started ranting through the audience about parking. Now, how much
yeah,
of that had you how much of that had you thought through, and how much, because it seemed like you were in the moment,
yes,
um, but there was stuff that you had ready to go?
yeah, yeah. That's a kind of bit I do where I call it the heckler, where I go through the audience and I prearranged, whoever was on stage that, okay, I'm going to be coming through the audience at this time, and I'm going to just go off on something. And I believe like that parking rant was, probably at least 75% improvised. And I probably had like, other bits, little pieces of, because that's one of the characters I love to do,
Right.
the heckler. I find the heckler for me so rewarding because as a stand-up, my biggest fear are fucking drunk hecklers, you know, are crazy, aggressive hecklers. So it's very cathartic as a stand-up
How did
to
that
play the
start for
heckler.
you? How did you, what was the first time you did the heckler? Where did that come from?
It, yeah, it just, it came from an idea I had of heckling myself. which I would set up the bit by saying, folks, I get heckled a lot, but I wonder what the heckling would be like if someone knew me as well as I know myself. What would the heckling be like? And I think it would go like this. And I just get off stage, leave the mic in the stand, and start yelling at the empty stage, Pepitone, why do you dream about red birds attacking your throat at night? Like all things that I actually have happened to me, I'd be like yelling at, how come you can never finish a book? You always start books. All kinds of crap like that,
So that ended up being kind of a gateway for you to a much greater public persona and success, doing that on Conan for so many years, right? You were the heckler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, do you know Brian Stack?
I don't.
Okay, Brian was a writer on Conan. He now writes for Colbert. And he's, I believe Brian is from Chicago and that whole Second City crowd, and sweet guy. And he just such a good writer, and he loved to write for me. He loved to write in my voice, so
Wow.
he would write all those heckles. Those were all very pre-written, his network TV or whatever, when Conan wasn't on, he was on cable after NBC. But yeah, so I just had a really good writer,
I had no idea that those were scripted for you.
Oh yeah, they would never let me just go on a show like that, but at the height of that, Conan, I would crack Conan up sometimes, and that was really a fun thing to do. Like when I would crack him up, I really felt good about that. And then it would get into a little improv between me and him, because he would like say something off the cuff and then I would come back at him. So that was fun.
So let's get into that. How kind of where the funny kind of started for you. I know you. We were talking before we came on the air that we both took Gabe, my husband's class at the Manhattan Punchline. And that was where is that where you started doing comedy?
Yeah, that was when I had flirted with stand-up a few times. I was always interested in comedy, and I wrote funny plays in college. Like, I was so into doing stand-up, but I was terrified when I first started. I actually would throw up backstage at open mics. Like, I was truly terrified, yet I was doing it, which was crazy. Like, and as a matter of fact, I would ask myself, why are you doing this if you're so fucking miserable, And I guess the answer is because I had to. It's so funny. Like, there are younger comedians now who come up to me and they're like, how do I do stand? How do I get started? And I'm like, you have to be kind of sick. You have to need to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to need to do it. You don't want to be famous. You have to need to do it, like have the attention, whatever it is, whatever the reasons are, need to express all this crap that's in you, or get attention, a combination of like needing to get stuff out and then like that psychotic like narcissism.
Where do you think this came from with you? Let's go back and talk. So you grew up.
We're not going to be doing inner child work, are we?
Maybe, I don't know. Well, I know some of your history, and I know. Yeah. Well, let's talk about it a little bit, because I think for all performers, there's a basic need to want to be loved, right? Because we all kind of were lacking, right? So yours, from what I remember, your parents were. Tell us a little bit about your parents.
Well, my mom.
Tell us.
My mom was bipolar, So that
Mhm.
was just really difficult, to grow up with. She was hospitalized, um, she passed away about 15 years ago now, but she was hospitalized in and out when I was growing up, and it was really super difficult. My dad was a teacher. I was born in Brooklyn. So it wasn't a real happy household, because of my mom being so ill, and so I think that really was a big reason, that I needed to do it. Like I needed to get validation that I didn't get. Like a classic comedian, in that sense.
When did you discover you were funny? How did you discover you were funny?
I
When?
discovered I was funny when I would be hanging out with my friends. I think I was around 12, and I just would kind of hold court naturally with, my little group of friends. And I just realized it then, like I had no idea about any kind of career or whatever.
Right.
But I was just really enjoying being funny with my friends, as a young kid. And then I got really influenced, you know, I remember I grew up with like the Honeymooners,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I love Jackie Gleason. And then I started watching like stand-ups, like I think on Ed Sullivan's show at
Sure.
first. I love Don Rickles, and seeing Carson was really a cool thing growing up and seeing all the comedians. I remember just seeing Carlin. My favorite comedian, like in my formative years as a comic, was Pryor and Carlin. Yeah, I just love those guys. And then I went from just being a funny kid to like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that.
How did
So
you figure out that, and how did you turn that desire into a
a
reality?
reality,
Yeah.
it wasn't easy, and it's still not.
So
um,
you had real job, you had jobs. Did you have jobs?
oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I will never go back to one, though. I now dedicate my life to not working for a living. Um, in the traditional sense. No, I freaking did stuff like, and by the way, like I said, stand up was absolutely terrifying. So I got into acting first. So I
Right.
have a theater background.
Being funny. Oh God, sorry. I was trying to fix the feed. So you went from being, say that again?
I went from like I started in taking acting classes.
Right.
Uh, I dropped out of college because it wasn't happening for me. You know,
What did you go to college for? What did you want to?
well, at first I was trying to please my dad, and I was going to become a dentist. I'm laughing at that because I have the worst teeth. Um, he even gave me like a Novocaine needle for my 14th birthday. Um, like a chair that was like a molar shape. But those are really old jokes. I actually wrote a character, I think probably because of that whole thing of my dad wanting me to be a dentist, called the Novocaine Bandito. And the Novocaine Bandito was a guy who just got off on numbing people and like different parts of their bodies. And he would like numb someone, and and then he would just kind of, get a pleasure out of it. And the way I did that bit is I was the way I did that bit was I was a cop in a press conference saying, the Novocaine Bandito is struck again, folks. We're pretty sure this is a disgruntled dentist. And like I would go on. That's on my first album.
So your father, as I recall, you did a very, very moving piece in my living room.
Yes.
At Women Who Write. That's
it had
right. Humor in it, but it was very
Yeah.
heart-wrenching. How did your
Yeah.
how did your relationship with your father impact?
He's still alive, so I have to be careful. And let me just address him if he's watching.
Okay.
Don't judge me. I don't need it. I don't need it, and I don't want it.
Is he on Facebook?
I don't think so.
Yeah, my mother can't do the Facebook. So, no, seriously though, how did that relationship? Because it's very much a part of your humor.
Yeah. Well, there's a documentary about me called The Bitter Buddha, and the arc in that documentary is my dad like sees me at the Gotham Comedy Club, and he absolutely loves it. Because I killed, and he loved it. He didn't even want to go, because it was like, I don't want to go to Manhattan. He lives in Staten Island. So we do love each other for sure, but it's fraught. It's fraught with neurosis, because I always feel like I have to live up to what he wanted me to be, and that kind of, I feeling like he was super critical of me and that kind of thing, but so the documentary has a really nice kind of closure with that. Yeah.
So now is he in a place, since then, is he in a place of acceptance with your career?
Yeah.
I mean, he had to seeing you on Conan and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what he liked. That's what kind of validated, like, oh, okay, he's on television.
Right. Well, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're funny for your friends. You decide you have these heroes. You decide you want to do it. How do you go about it? What did you do?
Oh yeah. So, like I said, since I found it so terrifying, I was studying acting. I was always performing, and I went from acting, which I did comedic and dramatic acting, which has been really good for my stand-up career. Like the background in theater and acting has been very good for my stand-up, because I love putting in like just serious emotion into stand-up. Like I'm not just someone who gets up there, like you said at the beginning, and tell a joke. I'm not like set up punch. I'm more like, it's sort of like my message is life is the joke.
Yeah. So how did you find that? When did you make that decision? Like when you started, Eddie, did you do this? Did you do set up punchline, or were you always Eddie from the beginning?
No, it took me a while to feel comfortable. It took me years. At first I remember I was doing like crazy characters, and I also would just get on stage. I would be kind of just up here at 10, kind of being very shrill and yelling. And now I kind of balance it with, I'll go up and then I'll go real soft. I'll just be screaming about something, and then I'll be like, but anyway, I think NPR is great as well. You know what I mean? That took me a long time to like be comfortable on stage, for sure.
Did you? I would imagine, as with all comics, there were times that you bombed. I would imagine there were audiences that didn't get you, right? I mean,
yes, that's without a doubt. Without a doubt, I was very stubborn and I still am very stubborn about just doing things that I feel are funny. I hate pandering to, a mainstream audience. I mean, and I'll tell you, I never bomb more seriously, or I never bomb worse than when I did a casino, and I'm not a casino guy. I did a casino here in Los Angeles. I forget what the name of it was. For me, I'll just call it the great fucking. And I didn't get a laugh the whole time. I was doing my like really dark. My humor is always dark,
Right.
and these people, they just were there for a good time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They were like, there was maybe one guy, there was maybe one guy who got it, or who, liked what I was doing. But mm, it took me a while. It took me a long time to like be able to, kind of come out of this little artistic bubble and really relate to everyone, and I think it had to do with me also, just becoming vulnerable enough to be very open about, my life. And then everybody kind of relates to that, instead of me doing these kind of esoteric little bits or characters. You know what I mean?
Was it hard for you in the clubs? Like, did the
Yeah.
club owner get you? Did they appreciate what you were doing?
That took a long time too. And I was always kind of like a theater comic, like underground, like in all these little offbeat places throughout New York. I was never a big club guy. Only recently have I started doing clubs, and there still are clubs where I just have no interest in doing, because they're just like a bunch of loud assholes, on fucking on fucking whatever, like college people who just, I mean, there are so many shitty clubs,
Mhm.
but there are ones where people are actually like comedy fans,
Right,
Mm.
right. Well, of course, and of course
I
you
just
have
I hate to pander, I hate to pander to like just fucking hacky stuff, you know.
I know that about you. So,
Mhm.
do you think, okay, so we share a history as addicts and people in recovery,
Yeah,
and when we go to the rooms, to meetings, we bare our souls. Everybody's people very honest. We really say
yeah.
what we think. Do you think that that's impacted your stand up?
Oh, I think that the work I do, through the 12-step programs or rooms, definitely is great, great work as far as like, getting honest and uncovering my defenses, you know, and yeah, I think it really does help my creativity and my stand up for sure. And
Uh,
actually, I have found myself, I never used to do this, but I I now find myself being funny in the meetings, which I think, why I think I'm doing that? I was thinking about this. I never did it before. I think because I haven't been freaking performing and have that outlet, that now I'm performing in these freaking 12-step
I've
groups.
I've seen you do it.
I know, and I some people love it, and I think some other people are like, "What the fuck? This is supposed to be serious shit." Or who's this guy?
So highlights, Eddie. So
Mhm.
okay, so you start out and you're trying to find, how long does it take you to find your feet till you kind of figure it out?
Uh, I would say 10 years for me,
And so during that
which
10
sounds like a long time, and it is.
so during that 10 years, how are you surviving? What are you doing?
Yeah, I waited tables a lot. I
Mhm.
used to say that I have been fired from more restaurants than I've eaten in. I was a terrible waiter. I don't know if you, I mean, I thought I was a good waiter, but I always was so disenchanted with being there. And they all, and so everybody I worked for knew it. I couldn't hide it. And the worst thing I used to do as a waiter was I was a slob. And, you're supposed to come in with, and I worked in some pretty good restaurants in Manhattan.
Right.
Supposed to come in with the press shirt, and I would come in and there would be, I mean, I can't believe I didn't get fired earlier from some jobs. I just would have like chocolate from a profiterole that I eaten in the back. If people don't know what a profiterole is, get on it. They're very good.
Oh my God.
But you know what I mean? Like I would have like stains on my shirt. And I remember one time I managed a real button down guy, an Irish guy, and he would be like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Look at your shirt. Look at your shirt, man. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry, Mike.
I
Sorry.
worked at Maxwell's Plum. Do you remember Maxwell's Plum? You're a little young.
Oh my God, that was a real like hang, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean it was like a serious gig. I made some major money
Oh,
there.
what did you do there? Wait tables?
I was a waiter, and then I was a captain. I was there for like 8 years while I was trying to be an actress when I was young, right out of college. But I made really good.
Yeah, you could make really good money. And then I went into bartending in which was better for me because I'm just very sociable.
Right.
And I didn't but it's such hard work. Waiting tables is such hard work. That's why I vowed never to. And then I went from waiting tables to catering in New York, and I'd be catering at these fucking like museums in the New York Public Library, some really cool venues that you really feel like, I wish I wasn't working because this looks really cool. And I would, and those jobs, I mean, the people who own the catering companies to me were just so hilarious. Like, I wish I could, like one of the catering companies, I don't know if they're still around, they were called Great Performances. And they would actually try to like get the servers to be choreographed, like the way they like, yeah, I mean, and me, forget it. And they really wanted you to be pristine looking. So I would never last. I would never last because, I was always so anxious and didn't want to be there. My big go-to was I was always like, well, smoking pot for one, to kill the psychic pain, and then eating.
Okay, so
I would always be smuggling food from them, and I would always be caught.
Oh,
like,
my God.
what do you do? Like, I'd be eating, like in a corner. This is before I became vegan. I'd be eating like prime rib and lobster tail, secretly, and I would get stuff all over my shirt, and then I would be so full and tired that I wouldn't want to do anything.
Oh my God.
I was the worst. Yeah.
Okay, so Eddie, what happened so that you didn't have to do that anymore?
What happened is I started getting, and it was just because I stuck with it. I persevered through those fucking jobs. And I had other jobs too. I did some construction work. I was installing and sanding hardwood flooring. And then from there I would go to acting class, and I would be covered in dust. I would be covered in dust doing Arthur Miller plays, in acting class, and if someone touched me, it would be like, what's that character in Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
That
Oh God.
No, Linus, maybe?
Not Lion. Yeah, I know who you
Who?
mean.
The guy who has the dust on him.
Pigpen.
Oh, that Pigpen, right? Pigpen. So, yeah, so I had a lot of hard jobs, but then I started getting, I'll never forget, I think I was on a job when I got a call from Conan. And what happened was one of my buddies, Andy Blitz, who's a really good comic,
Mhm.
was on the writing staff. And by the way, that's how I get most of my jobs, is friends who are writing for the show. Or if I'm lucky, the stars of the show will have seen me do stand up, but they think of me for something. And my friend Andy thought of me, and it was incredible. Like, I think this was definitely my first time, maybe, I think my first time on network TV where I was alone. And I had to do this whole monologue about, you remember Mikey on the Life commercials, like
Oh,
give it a
sure.
Mikey, he'll like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Mhm.
And it was for Life cereal. And I had to be the guy who was Mikey's neighbor, and I can't believe he got it. I would have been better, but I was grounded the week they were doing auditions. Like, I did this whole big monologue and I was so freaking nervous. I was so nervous, reading off cue card. I was always nerve wracked on the, it's so funny because I always am very insulting to most television because I think most of it sucks. But then, like, for instance, I did an episode of Will and Grace recently, and it can be it's just always nerve wracking, because it's like, there's so many people relying on you to do your lines.
So, Eddie, how did that happen? How did you, I mean, I know you studied acting, but how did the
Yeah.
acting, how did you start that acting career?
Yeah. Because I studied acting,
Yeah.
I, I got an agent here in LA, so they send me out for various things, and I would, comedies are really what I always obviously would book, but I wish they would give me more of a chance with the dramatic stuff too. I've done a
So,
couple of things, but
so an agent took you on based on your stand-up, figuring that you could do.
yeah, like based on my Conan work, which came about without a without an agent. I mean, I was just called directly, from the show to me,
Nice.
and they loved me, so I kept coming back. I mean, I did it over a period of I don't know, 15
Wow.
years on and off, or 20 years on and off, you
Wow.
know, until Conan grew tired of me, you
So,
know.
what happened? How come that stopped? Do you know?
I don't know, and I'm still bitter about it. I don't know. I really think he was kind of tired of the riff of the, I mean, I don't know this though, of the angry guy. I of course get nervous that it's all because of age. But I don't know.
Has it gotten more difficult as you've aged to get TV?
Um, I don't. I don't particularly think so. It's always really hard,
Mhm.
you know, to land something. As a matter of fact, I'm really not digging, by the way, these fucking self-tape auditions. I know a couple of my friends like them
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, well, you could do it until you like it. First of all, the lighting has to be perfect. The background, I'm always taking down paintings, and I got a ring light that I work shittily. Um, my wife has to read the other parts,
Right.
and it's just like, to me, it's nothing but a pain in the ass.
Okay, so now wait, if you got something in COVID, would you go on a set
I
and
did. I got a show on, and this was kind of a thrill because I got to work with Helen Mirren, but I was on a Netflix show called, it was Sarah Cooper. I don't know if you know Sarah
yes, I
Cooper.
do. She's hysterical, yeah.
and it was kind of a show to get people to vote, not for the idiot. And it
She's
was
the one
sketch
who did
show.
that incredible impersonation of him that made her a star.
Oh, there you go. She would lip
Right.
sync him.
Right.
She would lip sync him.
Yeah.
That's right. So it was sketches, and I was in a few sketches, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience working with Helen Mirren, and I hung out with Helen Mirren, one day, and she was unbelievably cool. Like,
wow.
just hanging out, laughing, and just like no status at all.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that was such a nice.
Well, were you anxious?
And it was COVID.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Were you anxious to go on set, and how did they handle it so you felt safe?
Yes. Well, it was one of the first productions to be doing it, but it was like they divide the sets up into zones, and like off camera, like the hot zone is the actual, where they're filming, and
right.
only everybody's masked up. You're supposed to be socially distanced, but I found, because I'm trying to think of how many shows I've done since COVID. I've only done 2, and I find that people wind up being pretty close to each other, even though you're supposed to be 6 feet. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they made you go get tested, right?
Oh, well, that was reassuring. That you were tested, like, I think it was something like every 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And everybody was, but and I think I did 2 weeks on that show. So on the weekend, though, you don't know if people are going to go out and party and bring back something. So it is kind of nerve-wracking. It is kind of nerve-wracking, for sure. I mean, I really felt like, I'm taking a risk,
But it was worth it because you needed the work. It was,
yeah. And I got to work with Helen Mirren. Who is the director? She's really cool, the director, as well, female director. I forget her name. Oh, and the other woman I worked with was Marissa Tomei, who just was sort of the opposite, in the sense that she just wanted to do the thing and get the fuck out of there.
Well, maybe she was a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So Eddie, as far as your personal life, you've referred to and looked over at your wife a few times. I knew you many years ago, and you were kind of late to this party of hooking up, of getting married and settling down.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I don't think I got married at 54, and that was the first time.
And
so guys, I mean, my lifestyle has never been, you know what I mean? It's like being a comic, being an actor, being someone who doesn't earn a lot of money. It's not very conducive to traveling a lot. It's not very conducive to like that kind of thing. But
But you guys also work together. You've written together.
Yes. Yeah, my wife's a writer, and we write things together. She'll write stuff for me, like the Sven the Clown videos that you mentioned.
Yes.
She comes up with most of those ideas.
You can't get vaccinated. You tell it. You can't get vaccinated because why? Sven the Clown can't get vaccinated.
Yeah, well, in LA now they're vaccinating mimes, and stand-ups are not until, I think it goes mimes, ventriloquists, and then stand-ups. Yeah, and then box office people are finally the last.
Oh my God. So Eddie, if you had I'm going to say you're going to be vaccinated by the end of May. Like, that's the latest it's going to take you. You're in the next group, actually. You'll probably get vaccinated this month, probably.
I hope so.
Do you get on the website all the time and try to?
No, I don't, because I've been lucky enough to earn enough money every year to have the SAG-AFTRA health plan, which those pricks Anyway, they I don't know if you heard about the whole SAG-AFTRA thing where during COVID they fucking raised the earning requirements. I was lucky; I had residuals come in from all this shit that I've done. But so I just want to go to I'm and so it's the UCLA health plan, and here in Toluca Lake. So I just am waiting. I don't want to like be one of these people who's online obsessively trying to find a spot, you know. I'd rather be writing a play or a short story, which I've been doing a lot of lately, and that's what I've been doing a lot in COVID, is writing. I've been regularly I'm kind of writing a one-act play now. I'm writing a lot of short stories. I'm getting them published. Blah blah blah.
Well, let's talk about that, because I'm finding I go live all the time and I do that, but I'm a writer and I have not been able to sit down. I can't focus. I can't write. I can't read either. I haven't been able to read books. I have not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
for me, I have started writing. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a writer,
right.
but now I'm realizing I want to have something to show for my COVID time. You know, because there will be an exam at the end of this when we're all vaccinated. All right, show your work. No, but I think it was about I'm paranoid now because I'm coughing. I think it was about 6 months in. It's been a year, so maybe even 7 months in, where I was like, I've got to be more structured, more productive. You know,
so what does the day look like?
how many crime documentaries can I watch?
So what does a day look like? What does that look like?
Well, for me, that we get up, go to a meeting. You know, I do meeting first thing, the 12-step stuff, which kind of centers me, you know, and then I will like do email. I try to be active comedically on social media. You know, I'll do a couple of tweets, a couple of Instagram things, a video here and there. And then I at some point I do like walking, like I walk a couple of miles, like I'm doing between 2 and 2.5 miles, and then writing. And I set the bar low. I say I'm just going to write a half an hour, and it's built. You know, it's and you know what it is to write. You know, some days suck, and you're like, you know. But I was reading this book the other day that said the biggest thing is to keep being frequency, like showing up every day and doing it, and it just kind of, it's something then that you just do, you know.
The secret to writing
habitual.
is writing, and
yes, the secret to writing is writing.
And the artist's way is all about, I do morning pages every day. Sometimes I do them at night, but I do them every day. So
that's funny. Yeah, I did a joke on Twitter about morning pages, which was like, "Dear Julia Cameron," who is the author of it. I go, "Dear Julia Cameron, I do my morning pages at 9 p.m. So sue me. My lawyer will be in touch."
All right. So I have a story about that. So, Julia Cameron's one of us, and that's not a secret. She talks openly about her recovery. So I'm in the Writing Sober meeting in New York, and I have just started doing morning pages, and this is 7,153 days ago, because I do it every day, and I've kept track, and I've checked.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm saying I do my morning pages on my computer. I don't do 3 pages a day. I do it whatever time I want. And everybody's tittering. And the next person,
you didn't know she was there.
The next person to share says, "Hi, my name is Julia." And I'm like, oh my fuck.
That's very funny. That's a great story.
Right behind me the whole
That's a great story
about the morning pages. But meanwhile, I still do them, because it does. If you do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so do you have, like, I've started speed walking every day again. I just started doing that again this week.
Yeah.
So Do you write every day? Do you do it?
No, not every day, but close to it, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I don't know about you, but I have found different periods during this whole lockdown thing that I feel very fatigued from it all, like just
Absolutely.
mentally. So yeah, there have been days where I don't write, and I'm just like, I try not to be too hard on myself with that. I'm like,
Mhm.
fuck it, I'm just gonna watch hockey. I love hockey. I'm gonna watch hockey, for 3 hours.
I mean,
Even yeah,
even it's the COVID weariness, and it's also what we went through, what
yeah.
we've been through politically, and what
Oh my
the
God, I
last.
forgot about that. Yeah, that
I,
whole yeah, we've been traumatized as a nation.
we have been traumatized.
I
We've been
know we have.
completely traumatized, and I think we're healing from that now. So, all right. So before we go,
Mhm,
favorite binges that you? So hockey. You said you like hockey. Have
mhm.
you had favorite binges of shows that you've gotten addicted to during COVID?
Uh, yeah. Let's see. In the thick of it,
Hmm.
which is BBC, Peter Capaldi. It is what Veep was based on, and it's by the same guy. He created Armando Iannucci.
Hmm.
I, me and my wife had watched it already, but I went through it again. Um, I just love his performance, Capaldi, and just the dialogue as a writer.
Mm.
The dialogue in that movie is unreal.
Okay, I'm gonna
Um,
check it out.
yeah, in the thick of it, great comedy. I'm rewatching The Sopranos now.
Me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just started with
Interesting.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, even
but
though I
it's
find,
interesting. It's kind of dated at the beginning. The beginning is a little
yeah,
funky.
yeah, and even though I find, and I haven't really been that consistent with The Sopranos, like I find that I don't really want to watch really bleak stuff,
Mhm,
and I find it a little bleak, you know.
mhm.
I watched a couple of Netflix. And the movies, like I just watched, what is it? Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, I
I
haven't
just
seen it
watched.
yet. Did you like it?
I liked it. I
Mhm,
liked it.
mhm.
I just watched of old film noir. Like I have all these apps now. Like I have Hulu. I
Right.
have like the Criterion channel. Like I like foreign films, and
Uh-huh.
I like old. And I watched The Postman Always Rings Twice
Fantastic.
with Lana Turner and John Garfield,
Mhm,
the original in black and white.
mhm.
And I just really liked it. Like I like the film noir thing. It's not bleak to me. It's just sort of like it's just kind of funny to me the way they're so like you better make the eggs. We got a copper. We got a copper on our tail.
Yeah.
If you don't make the eggs, then I'm gonna knock you around a little. I mean, it's so dated. It's so dated for certain social mores, but it's and of course I'm watching the Woody Allen Mia
Okay.
Farrow
I
doc.
was just all right. I just watched
Mhm.
it. What do you think between Woody? We talked about this yesterday,
Yeah, they showed two parts. The two
and,
part, yeah.
and Cuomo. How do you feel about what's going on with Cuomo?
Oh, well, look, I believe the women. I believe the women. Now, the Woody Allen thing, so Cuomo, I think, is totally,
Come on. Do
Cuomo,
you think he should be impeached for this? Come on. You
impeached.
They're talking about
Mm,
impeaching him.
yeah. You see that whole fucking thing. Even though well, you're a woman. I mean, what do you think? I mean, of a guy who uses his power to bully, people like that.
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't
he
I don't
shouldn't
really
be in. Yeah.
I don't
I
really
mean,
feel like he was bullying. I think going over to
mm,
a woman and putting your hand on her back and asking if you can kiss her, to me, that's not bullying and
okay.
using power. To me, that's flirting, and that's, yeah, so maybe, look, I'm a grown woman. I can say
Right.
to a guy, hey,
Right.
knock it off, get the fuck out of here,
Right.
go away.
Right.
But,
Right.
I'm stronger than
You're rare.
someone.
There, so people are super sensitive about that now.
Well,
You know.
but don't you think it's possible that he's being set up? Come on, he's going to go after the idiot. He's going to try to put him in jail. You don't think there's maybe some kind of shit going on? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they'll go after the idiot no matter who's in there. I mean, that's
Hopefully.
New York. New York is Democratic mostly, thank God. You
Mhm.
know. The Woody thing
Okay,
is a
did your
little.
opinion? My opinion of Woody has changed from the documentary. Has yours?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see him more now as a predator. And um, I mean, it was always so bizarre that he married his, what is that, a stepdaughter? No, his,
Well, he never adopted her, but
right,
yeah.
he never adopted her. But here's the thing, and they address this in the documentary. It's very hard to see someone who is giving you so much joy with their movies, and like he put this, like he made you feel better about your horrible neuroses by completely, being that underdog. So and they talked about that. I think Mia Farrow talked about that. And then he put out a lot of stuff about her, that she's coached her, blah blah blah, Dylan, blah blah blah. So that was confusing. But this documentary seems, you know, like
Yeah,
wow,
I know.
like,
Isn't
oh, he
it
was
creepy
not.
to like?
Yeah.
I always thought Manhattan was a great film. That was my memory of it. And when I
Well,
watched
it's so
those,
beautifully shot, but the subject matter is hilarious. I mean, they show it in the documentary where
yes,
it's 3 40-year-olds sitting around a table with Mariel Hemingway, who's 17, but she looks like she's 12.
yep.
Like, and they're just joking about it.
And then he's in bed with her, and it's so
Oh my God.
horrible
Yeah,
when they're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about sex.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
pretty horrible. Well, you're
So
not a predator, so
no, no, I am not.
so Eddie, tell everybody where they can find your stuff. I mean,
Well,
for the
the
masses.
mothership for me is eddiepepitone.com. And from there, you could access my specials. I have 2 on Amazon now. The last one's called For the Masses, and the one before that's called In Ruins. Um, they're
For the
films.
Masses is absolutely spectacular. It's spectacular.
Thank you.
I have
New
not
York
laughed out loud.
Times, the New
Yes.
York Times called it the funniest special of 2020, which was a big feather
Wow, Eddie.
in my cap. Yeah.
So did that
Yeah.
generate to a lot of views? I mean, the New
It
York.
did, but it was during COVID. So normally I would be like, clubs would be saying, all right, we want, and because it was COVID, some people still did. It's a cool thing. It's a really cool thing now. And the first special in room. So anyway, eddiepepitone.com, and it connects to all my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram shit.
So now, if people want to see this stand-up thing that you're going to be
Oh,
doing, how do
right.
they do that?
Yeah. Well, it's on the website.
Okay.
It's the Alameda Comedy Club. I'm going to be there April 2nd and 3rd, outdoors. And then there's this big Nowhere Comedy. Go to nowherecomedy.com, and I'm playing March the 24th.
Is that on your
But
website also?
the Nowhere Comedy one isn't yet. I have to do
Okay.
that. I hate doing all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but it's better than choreographed catering.
What is choreographed catering? Come on, really?
I don't even know. Ask the great performance people.
I don't know. All right. Well, so I'm going to put your website in the
Yeah.
liner notes to the show so that people can find you. You must see For the Masses. Do it tonight. It was so great to laugh out loud and just have such a good
Oh,
time. New
thank
York
you.
Times Best Comedy Special of 2020. That's
Yes,
fucking huge. Congratulations, Eddie. You so deserve
thank
it.
you.
I so
Thank you.
enjoy you. I love the fact that you put your guts out on the stage every time you
I
get up,
do.
and it's just it's wonderful. I really love and appreciate you, and I thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sitting down.
Thank you, Vicki.
Absolutely, and I'll see you in the room soon.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.